Hello and welcome to the All Round Coaching Podcast, episode number 49. Now, I wanted to do this podcast for the people that struggle with either time or not having enough time. They struggle with a little bit of structure and getting things done. And for those that struggle, I don't want to just say fat loss, but with weight loss and that they're fixated on the scales as well. Because I know it is so confusing at the minute, and I don't know whether I'm just hypersensitive to it, but it seems to get worse where all you're fed on Instagram is how easy it looks, how easy it is, and obviously you get the influencers looking absolutely incredible and selling the dream. Now, I am one small person, and hopefully I do get the message across to more than one person, but if I can at least get through to one person and they stop buying into the bullshit, then obviously on my hands I've won it anyway. So I will be doing this one on my own while Mel is working downstairs, and obviously I just like to get these out because it is little bite-sized ones that people can digest, hopefully take something away from, and then put things into action as well. Obviously the application comes from the coaching, but people do have this information for free, and hopefully they see the value in that and utilise it as well. I wish when I was obviously, because I started out 21 years ago, I wish I had things like this to listen to as opposed to trying every quick fix and fad that came my way. Because I did try them all, I was impatient and I absolutely spun my wheels on them as well. One thing for me, I would, because I think a lot of people say, oh, I'm too busy for this and too busy for that. So a background on me, I didn't wait for the perfect time to start coaching. And I'd say like my first real genuine coach that obviously was absolutely amazing at what she did and got me to my goals, it wasn't at the perfect time. I started in 2019 where I was working long hours. I'd finish at 9:30 p.m. So I'd make sure I'd train before, and then obviously fast forward a little bit to actually taking up coaching again and going back down that career path. I was then working 15 to 17 hour days. I'd be getting up at 4:30, going out, doing some clients, training myself, and then obviously going to work and finishing at 9, half 9 at night, obviously then driving home. So I think for me, yes, I can sympathise and empathise with it a little bit, but when people say they haven't got time, it's often that prioritisation and not structuring it. Like I think I said to a couple of my guys the other day, I would not be able to do what I do now if I didn't structure a week, if I didn't put time blocks in, and if I didn't set the days that I'm going to do it. Because yes, it's nice to have the intent there, but if we aren't structuring that, if we haven't got time blocks with it, then the intent's there, but the action's not, because more often than not, to be fair, people will say, oh, I'll do it tomorrow, and tomorrow never comes. So if we break it down, if you are someone that is busy, then yes, even doing something like 15, 20 minutes of workout is going to benefit you. Grabbing a meal prep, that's going to benefit you than just thinking, oh, I'll grab a Mackey's on the way home. And it isn't just from the aesthetic point, it's your energy levels, your brain function, everything outside that is going to serve you. So rather than just seeing your health as a fat loss goal, because please believe me when I say this, it goes beyond fat loss. Like, we aren't just put on earth to go on an instant diet and stay on that forever and ever. Like, we do need to break that cycle where we forever live in a fat loss. And obviously I was guilty of it in the past. Like, I could never feel like I was outside of a fat loss phase. I think for me personally at the minute, like especially entering into a new relationship over 9 months ago, my priorities did change. It didn't mean that training fell by the wayside, and it didn't mean that I give everything up. It just meant that I wasn't prepared for that fat loss phase, and I didn't want to put the energy into that. So obviously I kept the training, kept my non-negotiables, and I still continued. And fat loss can be picked up at any time, but if your actions aren't aligning with that, obviously you're someone that's saying they're too busy, but then you're spending 4 or 5 hours sat in front of Netflix. It's probably a prioritisation of your time. So a tip that you can do, and it's what I do as well, sit down every Sunday, write down your week. So your average week might be Monday to Friday, and then obviously in a separate column I'd always put Saturday, Sunday as well. So put in your working hours, say you work 9 to 5 or whichever shifts that you actually do, put that in. Put in when you're going to meal prep, put in when you're going to schedule time to train, put in time that you are going to spend on yourself, so a little bit of you time. This can either be, I don't know what blokes do, but some women might want to go for a bath, have time away from the kids, and it doesn't have to be an entire day. It can be 30, 40 minutes set aside for yourself just to pour into your cup. And obviously I have done a post on this recently. We're not just here to pour into everyone else and say yes to everyone and fall guilty of that people pleasing. Because if you do that and your energy is constantly on everyone else, you'll never focus on yourself. And that's when things start to become difficult and people obviously reach burnout. So you need to make sure that you prioritise that time, maybe it's on a Sunday night, or do it on a Saturday, on a weekend when you've got more time, and schedule everything out. Like, it does sound like, oh, for fuck's sake, I've got to do this, this and this, but it'll break down. You'll be able to prioritise your tasks, what's important, what can wait, and obviously what you want to put first. And then you'll find that you probably have got a little bit more free time. And I think people fall guilty of keeping everything in the head's really busy, and then they can't actually focus on what they need to get done. And honestly, it worked absolute wonders when I started to structure my week. I am someone that likes to write it down, have a little tick, and obviously I feel motivated by that. I still have my diary in my phone, obviously, of time blocks when I am with clients, when I do check-ins, and obviously when I schedule content out. But writing it out has actually given me a little bit more time, and I can structure around that. And it does help. It's less overwhelming. I'm not looking for perfect. If there's things that I've missed, then I can move it to another day. So when people say I haven't got time, I do think it's a priority of your time, not necessarily time itself, because that old cliche, if we all have the same 24 hours, granted, we all have different responsibilities, but it's up to us how we use that time. So I won't keep ranting on about that. And it's the same goes for fat loss. Like, I feel at the minute everybody is so impatient, and I know it's because summer's approaching or there is time pressures goals, but if you can honestly say like you are accurate and adherent to what maybe your coach has set or what you are actually doing, rather than focusing on the quick fixes that do not exist because they do take longer, then you will get fat loss results. It's not to say they'll always show on the scales. You could drink a litre of water and gain a kilo in that time, whichever. It isn't just going to say, oh, I've not lost anything. If your actions still align with that, then you will be losing fat if you are in a deficit. If you're not being accurate, you're drinking alcohol, you're going out, your stress levels are high, it's time of the month, then there will be fluctuations in scale weight. You need to be honest with yourself if you are overeating or if you're neglecting foods that are actually going to serve your sessions and fuel you, then you need to pull it back a little bit. And I think a lot of people neglect the basics. They think that it's going to be quick and easy, that I'm going to put some magic formula in. And sometimes people just need to listen to the application. Like, honestly, I always say, I'll welcome questions and I'll explain why I'm doing what I'm doing and why we're doing it this way. What I won't do is jeopardise someone's health to get a lighter version of themselves on the scales, because, to be honest, I'm not interested in what you weigh. I'm not interested in gravity doing its thing. If you think, oh, I've not lost anything, it's been 3 weeks, it's been 4 weeks, it's been however many weeks, but you know your actions have been there, then you will still be losing body fat. Sometimes people need to train a little bit harder. Sometimes people do need to improve the nutrition quality, and sometimes people need to be a little bit more accurate with what they're doing. But you can't say that you're not losing fat just because the scales haven't said it. And I do think a little bit more patience is needed with people. I think at the minute it is quite frustrating when everybody's looking for that quick fix, and I tried it in the past. Obviously I'd over restrict. I'd try fat burners, carb blockers, which aren't even a thing, but obviously I took them anyway, because I always thought the carbs were the thing that were making me fat, and it was just I was eating more than what my body needed. But then I'd smash myself into the ground with a shitload of cardio, which would then bring my appetite up, and this is where the vicious circle comes in, because everyone's association with, oh, I'll add more cardio in and this will speed my fat loss up. It won't. It'll potentially bring your appetite up. Yes, your output's going to be higher, but if you end up then eating more to keep up with the extra energy that you're putting out, then it's going to be counterproductive. If we just break it down and start and do the basics, let's do the bare minimum and see what we can build up to then achieve the results. And I think this is what a lot of people misconcept, like, oh, let's associate running as a fat loss tool, and everyone seems to smash running at the minute, where they don't pay attention to the nutrition and think, right, if I put my output at the very, very top, then my nutrition's probably going to have to match that. And some people then end up overeating or not being able to curb that hunger because their output is that high that the body can't keep up with that demand anyway. So I think a lot of people just need to step back, assess the basics and get good at the basics and build the sustainable habits. I know a lot of people probably look down the liposuction route and think, fucking hell, it's going to be easy doing that. Liposuction isn't actually easy because we end up damaging the fat cells. So then when we do gain body fat again, one, we've not built the habits to sustain the fat loss, and two, you've obviously damaged them fat cells then, so your body will then store more fat. So if you think it's easier, it isn't. There actually is no easier way than just building sustainable habits and not looking for that quick fix that's never going to appear. So if it was there, I'd have found it by now. There is no quick fix, so don't be sold on that. And you've probably spent longer looking for that quick fix, looking how to do it quicker, than actually building the habits, learning and educating yourself. And that's what I want to do with clients, and that's why the check-in process is so important, and the online aspect of online coaching is the biggest aspect in people succeeding. It isn't them hour sessions that you might spend in the gym or just the training alone. It's all them habits outside of it and the movement outside of the gym that is going to see you succeed and obviously actually achieve your goals. Whether it is fat loss, building muscle, body composition, whichever, each goal is different, and obviously you've got your fitness goals and your strength goals in there as well. So a takeaway from this for me today, if you could spend a little bit more time on the basics, building your habits, then it is going to be more sustainable. Don't be tempted to over-restrict yourself and then smash a load of cardio and associate that with fat loss. Take the time, get good at the basics, and if you do have a coach, listen to them, ask questions. They should, obviously, I always try to explain why I'm doing what I'm doing with my guys, and they should be able to do that as well. So is it a quick fix? Absolutely not. And I don't want to work with people that want quick. I want to work with people that want to put the work in, that want to learn and that want to listen. So if that does sound like you, obviously you can drop me a DM. I've got a website where you can read a little bit more. All the posts that I put out on Instagram do have a little bit of education aspect in there, and obviously some humour as well. So if you did enjoy this, or you feel like somebody needs to hear this, give it a share, drop me a follow, and I'm happy to receive any questions about this as well, and you can drop me a message on Instagram.